Here for day 3 of the WarriorFit program in phase 1, we're at Canton Barbell with owner Michael Mercer. And for set 1, he's first going to demonstrate the squat. So here he's doing a goblet variation. Notice how he has the weight up at his chest. He goes into a full deep squat, elbows are coming down to his knees, and then rises back up. From the side, you'll notice that he keeps his back straight. He drives his hips forward as he comes up. Notice how he keeps his heels down the entire time. The way to make this easier is, rather than doing squat, we're going to have Michael do a bridge. So as you've done in other parts of your program, here he's going to first set his back flat to the ground, and then he's going to drive his hips up using his glutes, making sure that he's achieving the full motion. The way to make this harder is, of course, you resume the squat and just increase the weight. For set 1 of day 3, if you don't have equipment for the anti-rotation arm swings, and you're going to stand on one leg, and now you're going to cycle your arms forward and backwards as Michael is doing, imitating the running motion. If this is too challenging, you'll put the other foot down and now do that same variation. You then, of course, to make this more challenging, whether on 1 foot or 2, is by increasing the speed or finding small weights to hold in your hands as you do this. For set 2 of day 3, first Michael's going to demonstrate the step up. Here he's got a 12-inch jump box, and look how he's holding the weight at his chest. Notice how he's keeping his back in a neutral alignment, driving through the elevated leg to push himself all the way up into full extension, only using the off leg for balance as need be. He's going to drive all the way up, keeping his knee above his foot the entire time. Notice how it doesn't wiggle inwards. Notice how his hips don't shift to the left or to the right. Notice how he keeps the weight at a centered position. If this is too challenging, what you can do is just lower the surface. Here Michael's using a plyometric box that he has at his gym, but you can use any kind of sturdy step at the house or at a park or whatever is comfortable. So to make this more challenging, you can either stay at the current height and then increase the weight, or you can lower the weight and increase the height. Also, for the no equipment variation, you can use a reusable grocery bag like we have here in front of the jump boxes, rather than a dumbbell like Michael was just using. For set 2, the first exercise we have in the no equipment variation is an asymmetrical push-up. Here Michael has one hand elevated and the other hand on the floor. He's now going to do just a normal push-up. Having your hands on different surfaces changes the way that those two sides are being worked. You can put your hand on a stool or a couple books if you have that available, rather than a jump box like Michael has. If that's too hard, then you could go to a regular push-up with your hands flat. If that's too easy, then you can use more of a pause. For set 2, here we have the lateral lunge and press. For the no equipment variation, Michael is going to use a reusable grocery bag, and now he's going to press that away as he does his lateral lunge. If this is too hard, he's just going to set his feet wide and now shift his weight over into that side as now he does the press. Or, of course, he could drop that bag and just simulate the motion with his arms, stepping or not stepping, whatever you're comfortable with. For the final exercise in set 2 of day 3, we have the side plank. These same instructions work for the no equipment variation as with your normal workout. So Michael is making the point to not allow his pelvis to roll backwards or too far forwards. See how his sternum, his chest, is equal with his groin and his legs, and he's using that upper arm for balance. If this is too hard, what he's going to do is, instead of being on his feet, he's going to go on his knees, and now he's keeping himself in the exact same position, but now his legs are shorter. You should only feel this in your abdominals and some on that bottom side of the cheek, on the outer portion of the bottom leg. The way to make this harder is you can either stay here and lift the leg, or you can go to the first version if you are graduating from being on your knees, or if you started in this version, You can then come up into a regular side plank and then lift that top leg up once you're in that side plank, once you're comfortable. Hold that for the same duration as you used to. For set 3 of day 3, first Michael is going to demonstrate the bear crawl. So here he's going to apply the same principles as a push-up or a plank as he locomotes across the floor. Notice how his torso, his back, is staying in a flat alignment. He could even set something on here if he didn't have a mirror or somebody watching him as he goes. Notice how his knees stay the same height above the ground the entire time, feeling this in his abdominals and his shoulder blade muscles. If this is too challenging, instead what he's going to do is a baby crawl, what we're calling a bear crawl, but now his knees are on the ground. He's using the same mechanics, taking even steps as he goes back and forth, but now instead he's just on the floor rather than being elevated the entire time. If this is still too hard, what he's going to do is get in place, and then he's just going to elevate his knees up off the ground and do like an isometric, and then just hold that position for maybe 10 seconds, come back down, reset, again, come back up. Still trying to just learn how to use his shoulder blades and his arms to brace himself in an even position. If that's too challenging, you can go to a plank, of course, or some of the other abdominal exercises that we've worked on. If that's too easy, you can increase the amount of distance that you're going, increase the amount of time you're staying up in the air, or maybe even put on a weight vest. For set 3, day 3, the resisted lateral bounds, Michael is going to use a step rather than a band. Here he's got to use his left side to propel himself up onto the platform, and then he has to control the landing back on the left leg, landing on the ground. The way to make this easier is that you can just remove the step, or you could also, to make it harder, is use a higher object rather than the platform, like the stairs or something else similar. For set 3 of day 3, the no equipment substitute for the diagonal cable lift is instead a horizontal cable pull. Here we're just doing an isometric. So Michael is setting himself up in a squat position. He's got his hands flipped just as he would if he was pulling that band, and he's literally trying to pull that lanyard off of his squat rack. Here he's holding for a short period of time and then relaxing and then pulling again. So notice how he keeps himself in a 50-50 position between both legs, and he's not allowing his top half to rotate above his bottom half, which is again the goal, to hold that rotation and create that bracing.